Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Fuel for Success. This is episode number 270, and I am thankful for every single person that watches this show live on the archive. He wasn't waiting for me. Live and on the archive, and it's such an honor to be here with my co-host, my good friend, my business partner, Matt Maddox. How are you today from Florida, live?
Hey, I'm blessed, man. If you're ever going to come to Florida, the month of March and April are just undescribable. We rarely have any rain. The weather's perfect. Perfect. It's perfect. That's all I can say. And good morning to Lance, who is at Starbucks as we speak, getting ready to. You know what's cool? Marcel is at Pacey's house. They met on Fuel for Success. And good morning to all of our live viewers and then those that are going to be watching later on the archives. We got a treat today. Today, Mike, tell us what's going on.
Did I miss something? We've got our awesome talk show. That's what we're doing. And today we're going to be talking about business and entrepreneurship and related topics. And just in case anyone's ever wants to come to Hastings, Minnesota, March and April may not be the time to do it. It's 37 and raining. Thought I'd throw that in. But we've got some great questions lined up to talk about business development. But I also want to remind everybody that you can ask questions and interact live, and that's one of the advantages. You've got access to two guys that are in the throes of building a startup, one of the fastest growing fitness companies in the world. And
if not the fastest, not just one of, if not the fastest.
Yeah. We're so busy building it, we haven't taken the time to do the metrics and figure out the math to see if it really is. So, because we don't care, we're just going to grow it. And so you've got access to us. You can ask us questions about building a business, starting a business, that sort of thing. And so, hey, go ahead and ask questions, fire away. Shoot us a text, 727-341-5599, or email us, mike@mattmaddox.com, and we'll get those questions on as quickly as we can. But let me jump into the first question I have here. And I know I've heard from people that watch the show, they're thinking about starting a business, they're working on business plans, maybe they've already launched a business, and some people even watch, they love the content on the show because they want to do better at what they're already doing, which is great to hear. Let me ask you this, and we're going to talk a little bit about branding today, and then if we get a chance, I want to talk about niche marketing as well. But
Well, Mike, his volume's gone out, so I'll ask the question while he pops back in. Guys, listen, the question we were going to ask that came in was, what are the top 3 mistakes that you guys see entrepreneurs make when it comes to branding? In other words, what have I observed? Maybe even mistakes that we could have made, or mistakes that you see other businesses make when it comes to branding. So I'll start. Mike, I finished your question for you, my friend. I was thinking you were going to that question, right? It was about branding, correct?
Correct. Yep.
I read your mind, dude. It's like we know how to do a show. You know, there's such a flow there. Maybe we should talk about how to flow.
It's not a bad idea because it's important in business for sure.
Yeah, it really is, especially if you're in a partnership. You got to know how to flow, and Mike, it just has to be right because I hate to say it, I think our partnership is perfect. It's 99.9% perfect. Few things I'm working on with Mike. He'll grow. He'll get there. Hey, listen, number one mistake that I see people make when it comes to branding is they don't become clear about what their brand is or who they are. And that's important. You have to get crystal clear about who you are because that message of who you are, that brand, has got to be one lane that you drive people in. I see a lot of people in branding that they're so diversified, and they try to master too many things, and they try too many things, and end up killing their brand and killing their business. So I would say get clear about who you are. And, number two is, it's kind of tied in together with that, is I think a lot of people make a mistake when they try to be known for too many things. I think you should, as a business, be known for one thing. Like, what are you going to be the best in the world at? Is it going to be that you're known for, the most unbelievable customer service ever, or the fastest service, or the highest quality? Or, are you going to be known for the people that answer every phone call, every email? In other words, what's going to separate you from everyone else? And what are you going to be known for? What is going to be the thing or message or, that you're going to brand?
Right.
So that would be a mistake that I see people make, Mike, is trying to do too much. And then number three is not being consistent with their brand. Not like for a brand to become a brand, it has to be the same thing 24 hours a day everywhere. And when people start changing it up all the time, I know this is a mistake I've made in the past in business, because I have so many passions that when I was bringing something to the marketplace, I was also bringing another business. And when you're trying to promote 2 or 3 businesses at one time, you end up killing yourself and ultimately killing your ability to really brand something. Right. So I think whenever you go inconsistent with, your brand, if you would, you lose. You lose the game. So I think at the end of the day, if you want to avoid these mistakes, determine and get clear about what you're going to be known for, what's going to separate you from everyone else, and then be as consistent as humanly possible at sending out that message, that brand. I mean, we could talk a lot about branding, but that's my initial start there, my friend.
And I like what you said about creating the potential to create brand confusion when you're trying to do too many things at once. And I think that one of the things that people may, you may look at a big brand that has their hands in a lot of different things, and a big brand, an established brand that's been out there for 20, 30, 40 years may be known for several things, but you can't fight a war on 2 fronts, right? I mean, the Germans learned that in World War II, or 3 fronts. You can't do it. There's power and focus. And so, yes, maybe in 20 years you'll be known for several things, but not today. Find one thing, drive that, make that one of your candy sticks, if you will, or whatever. That's your focus for today. Get good at that, get known for that, build a brand in that area, and then maybe opportunities open up and move on and begin to sort of leverage that against other opportunities so that you can have your hands in multiple things. But it takes time to do that. It takes time to evaluate and put that into place. So and I think sometimes people just get in too much of a hurry and think, well, I can do all this at once, and we've even made that mistake. So that's harsh experience speaking right there.
No, it is, and it's delivering on what your brand is representing. Like how many times have you've been sold a certain experience, and then when you get it, it's like, you know what I mean? Like for example, the word of mouth out on Disney World, it goes back to what Walt Disney's 2 core values were. Pay attention to details, exceed expectations. I think every brand should be a maniac, fanatic about finding ways to exceed every expectation that a person has. So whenever you just barely deliver on what you promised, you're going to have a hard time branding in today's world because Mike, social media, Google, YouTube has demanded that businesses step up. Because now people can easily Google and find something else. Before, all people had to find other business was what? The yellow pages? So you could hope that your company had enough money to buy a nice yellow page ad. Nowadays, you are screwed to the max if you're not finding ways to exceed expectations of your customers. Right. You're done. You're sunk. You're the Titanic. You're going down. You are
Yeah.
literally sinking as a business if you're not laser focused on exceeding expectations. Literally yesterday, Mike and I had an hour conversation about something in our business that's going to deliver, and it's not even a promise, but it's an exceed of expectation of something we're going to do for our customers that literally, in our opinion, is going to leave them like, wow, like seriously. But that's got to be your aim in building a brand and a business. You've got to find ways to not only deliver on what your brand is representing or portraying, but what do they say? Under promise, over deliver. Some would say over promise, way over deliver. Depends on what your ability to actually deliver is.
That's great, and I 100% agree with that. Hey, Pacey says she thought of us watching a TED Talk. You know who Simon? I don't know how you say his last name. Sinek.
Yeah, I've watched him. He's got a book
Yeah.
called Start With Why. It's a really good book. I have it here. And
Yeah, Start With Why, and then his new book. Hang on, I actually just bought it.
Well, thanks for sending me a copy.
Leaders Eat Last. I haven't read it yet. How am I going to recommend it? I haven't read it yet. So good stuff. I'll have to check out his TED Talk. I haven't seen it. But anyway, good stuff there. Hey, let me ask you this then as a follow up. So if I held a gun to your head and said, "Tell me the number one secret to building a successful brand." Luckily, my guns are in the other room. What would you say? What's the number one secret to building a successful brand?
Oh God, Mike's about to shoot. Consistency, 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 consistency. Number one secret, my opinion, consistency. Because, like I said, to even capture people's attention nowadays is Michelangelo art level. I mean, it's an art to capture people's attention. You've got to be unbelievable. You've got to be Academy Award ability, So consistency, man, that's the only way, in my opinion. If I'm going to be shot today, and then if he's really going to shoot again, it would be secret number 2 is exceed expectations.
Exceed expectations.
Exceed expectations. Exceed expectations.
Hey,
because then people won't forget you. Because here's what a brand does. You ready? What's the first thing you think of when you think of phone? You think of Apple, right? First thing you think of when you think of, soda, Coke. First thing you think of when you think of, whatever it is. I mean, ketchup, right? Immediately think of Heinz. I mean, the list goes. We could talk about 100 things that you could just name the product and you could immediately associate a name to it. A lot of these people were first to the marketplace, but a lot of them weren't. You got to remember, Apple looked like a failing business at one point.
Yeah.
But they have way exceeded expectations. Think about it. Price obviously is not even an issue, but their brand has so delivered and exceeded expectations. Now, people have their own opinion about Apple. I'm not here to get into a debate. I know there's Apple haters out there because they're don't know how to use Apple products, and so they're just so stuck in their comfort zone with Microsoft. I get that. I understand. But anyways, what about you, Mike? What would you say?
Well, I think you touched on it earlier when you were talking about, and you mentioned, Yelp and social media and all those sort of things. And people have known, business owners have known for years, for decades, probably centuries, that word of mouth is one of the most powerful ways to build or destroy a brand. And today, word of mouth at scale, it used to be decades to really build word of mouth, and today it can happen in days and weeks because of the internet, because of the transformative power of social media, because of Yelp, because of all these technologies that are able to really scale that so quickly that literally, you have the opportunity. It's a two-edged sword. It can kill you or it can make you. And so if you're exceeding expectation, if you're doing the right things, if you're being consistent, word of mouth can spread so fast and build your brand incredibly quickly, or it can destroy it by the same token. So,
Can I throw in a nugget? I mean, this is like a nugget. This is like a 30-second blurb for all you singles. You could probably apply this to your dating life and totally get a lot better dates than what you've been getting in the past if you would just start exceeding expectations. Bam. Anyways, that's just a bonus. Here we go, Mike. Where else are we?
I actually had a great idea. So Tommy says his most frustrating thing is unlearning 40 years of wrong thinking. He wants to take himself out in the backyard and beat himself up. I'm thinking of a concierge coaching sort of a scenario there, Matt, where Tommy could hire us for a couple of $100, pay our travel expenses. We'll actually take you in the backyard and beat that out of you.
Yeah,
So,
we'll beat the crap out of people. You buy our ticket, put us in the hotel, feed us, give us a good little, check, and we'll be happy to beat stupidity out of a lot of people. In fact, there's some people I would probably do it for free.
We'll call it My Fight Club. So
our beating 90.
The thrashing method of coaching. Be like, hey, are you going to focus? Yeah, I'll try to. Boom! No, are you going to focus? Re-education. My beating 90.
You didn't make those sales calls. Bam! What are you talking about? You didn't send those products. Bam!
Come see the violence inherent in the system. Okay, I like Mary's idea here. Her name is My Beating 90. I'm all about it. Watch for it coming soon.
Choke people. What do you mean you checked your Facebook when we told you to return those emails? What are you talking about?
Oh, that's hilarious.
Definitely would work. Anyway, so yeah, Tommy, look, man, I get that. Tommy, I'm more angry about the time that I've wasted. And look, when you know your potential, literally, I should be a billion times further in life than what I am right now. I get that. And a lot of it was because of stupid thinking and average actions.
Yeah.
A lot of it was because I got complacent. A lot of it was because I got comfortable. A lot of it was because I became successful and lost drive, hunger, and desperation. And I learned not to let that happen again. That's how I had a major crash in my 30s for that reason. Late 20s, early 30s. But anyways, here we go, Mike. What's the next question?
And lack of focus, that can also really rob you of success. This is a great one based on what you just said. Here's a question. And I love this one because this, it's so easy for people to misconceive where other people are or misjudge or whatever. But and this is a great question for a business owner, because if you're an entrepreneur, if you're building a business, you will have situations where you are literally dying for cash. You're desperate for cash. Your cash flows run out. You got like 18 cents in the bank, maybe less. You're getting phone calls from the electric company. They're going to shut off and you're parking your car a block away so they don't come take it. That's the reality. Sometimes building a business is financially stressful. How do you and here's the question: how do you not act desperate when you're talking to a customer, when you're working on a sale, whatever, when you actually are desperate for cash flow?
Can I just be transparent?
Yes.
Here, because it's our show, and me and Mike are open books. We share. We're real. We're real. We're not going to try to portray like, Look, there's been times Mike and I have literally felt like prostitutes because we so needed cash to survive, because we knew we had a hold of something that was going to be extremely successful. And, I can give you some practical tips, If honestly, Mike, maybe we should reveal the top 10 things you and I have done to get $50, and people would be crying, laughing. And also they would be like needing to go just stare at a wall for a little bit, be like, whoa, I had no idea. But look, man, I'll tell you right now where the rubber meets the road. Mike and I had an opportunity, and it's still, something we're just taking a look at, but somebody was legitimately wanting to buy our company for right at about $3 million. And it was at a time, when that would have been really nice. And we were pretty much broke and getting shut off notices and you name it. And honestly, you know what our number one conversation was? Man, we just don't want to sell it. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like, that's how you know this is where the temptation comes. How much do you believe in what you have? And when the cash is tight, are you going to sell out, and how desperate are you going to act? And the bottom line is desperation is a gift, but it's also a curse. It's a gift if it drives you to crazy action. It's a curse if it drives you to sell out, if it drives you to forfeit the vision or, your plan of action. So what can somebody do in those times, Mike? And we're talking about real stuff. When your kids, want something and you can't buy it, or you go to like swipe and, you're standing there and it's been declined. And then you're like trying to look tough, like, oh, there's plenty of money in there. Like, that's real life stuff, man. When you're when you go into business, cash is the life or death of your business. So sometimes you got to go without paychecks. You've got to sell stuff. The amount of times Mike and I have thrown stuff on eBay just so we could buy dinner, I'm not kidding. So stuff, sold services at the most ridiculous low cost. Mike, I say this humbly. I really do. 5 years from now, the prices to our one-on-one coaching, the people that got in it at those prices are going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe there was actually a day where, you know what I mean? And we could tell so many stories about this, and again, that's not an arrogant statement at all, but you gotta get, the power of getting somebody one-on-one for 30 minutes and where their time is actually almost more valuable than money. Like the fair exchange isn't even at play here. Anyways, that's a whole another subject. Man, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Listen, you literally have to enter into a whatever it takes mentality. You do. You have to be willing to sleep on the floor. You have to be willing to go without. You have to be willing to just honestly, and I'm not going to reveal it now because I want to wait till maybe our book is out or until we've really, broke through to tell our real story. All I can tell you is I promise you when you find out what Mike and I really have been through the last 2 years, and we're not even kidding when I tell you this, the scars, the nightmares, the cold sweats, the financial pressure, it would be very shocking to people that think or have this illusion that Mike and I are just sitting on a pile of gold. We are, but not in our hands.
Yeah, it's not quite liquid yet. So let me ask you this, and to get a little bit more focused with the question. So on a day-to-day basis, have you, and I know the answer to this was sort of a leading question, but sometimes you're selling a product, you're desperate for cash flow. Have you ever reduced the price of a product just to make a sale? Does it make sense to do that? Was that a mistake? Is that something you would recommend people do? Like maybe you've got a product that you're at 30% margin. Are you going to knock it down 20% to make the sale just to get cash flow? Did I lose you? I think I lost my friend here.
With the cash, in other words, sold something, totally budged on price, both cutting out here. Am I still live?
I got you now. Yeah, I lost you for a second.
I think I am live.
Yeah.
No worries. Anyways, what I'm saying is, Mike, I can't hear you, but here's the deal. If you guys can hear me, just type yes. Okay, good. All right, I'll get right to it. Yeah, there's been times, like I said, when you almost feel like a prostitute, meaning there's been times you needed cash so bad that you made yourself look desperate. You made yourself look like oh my gosh, is that really Mike Hopkins? Is that really Matt Maddox? I mean, but yeah, there was a time when I've devalued price. Now I will tell you this, having gone through it, I probably wouldn't do it again. Even when I needed the cash, I wouldn't devalue price because, for example, for me to give away an entire weekend of my life is at the extreme level of like huge, huge. Honestly, it's huge for me to go spend a weekend speaking somewhere, a whole weekend. And I did, and this guy like really, he said he couldn't afford my services, for me to come in and do all this. And so I needed the cash, so I gave him like a ridiculous deal until he like invited me over to his house. And it's like a $650,000 ranch, and he's got a Mercedes, a BMW. And I remember sitting there with the rawest feeling like, you really acted like you couldn't afford my services. You stole a weekend of my life, and here you are in this $650,000 ranch and Mercedes, and you got horses. I mean, in other words, you got to be careful. Again, I know we need the money in times of life, but you just got to keep your self-respect and your self-love, and you got to decide, hey, y'all might get a little bit of cash that might feed my. I'd almost going through some of that. I literally probably would have rather lived without electricity and gone without food than devalue the way that I did just to pay a bill. Does that make sense, Mike?
Yeah, totally. And, that actually reminds me of something. Broke is relative. One person's broke is completely different than another person's broke. And a friend of mine from years ago used to say, and an analogy was, if his wife would say, hey, the car's on empty, and they were in a very tough financial situation in their life, the gas tank's on empty, and he'd say, well, like how empty exactly? Is it like on the edge of E, or is it way down in the red? I mean, how empty exactly? And at first I thought it was really funny, and then I thought, you know what, that's exactly true. Because some people feel broke if they got 10 grand, if they're only down to 10 grand in the bank, right? And like, I'm broke if I can't put any gas in the car, and I gotta hide from the people that are gonna come try to get money from me. You know what I'm saying? That's broke to me. So there's different levels of it, and so one person's broke is not the same as somebody else's. That's my point.
Yeah. Well, and listen, I mean, what people don't get, Mike, is the things that entrepreneurs go through behind the scenes. Think about the art of shave, right?
Yeah.
What are you laughing at?
Lance's comment. That's exactly right.
Oh, yeah.
He learned exactly how far he could go. Well, I'm the same way. I'm like, get the disconnection notice from the energy company. I'm like, all right, I got 12 days, right?
Listen, dude, that is hysterical. The art of shave, we've all heard of it. It's like this elite, or what's it called? It's out of New York. I met the owner. Mike, were you with me?
No.
I met the owner in New York, the guy that started. I mean, it's like world renowned.
Right.
Elite,
yeah, there's one
like
in all of America here. Yep.
Dude, the things he went through starting that business. His wife happened to be in the shop when I was talking to him. Just humble people. And dude, they like lived in literally like in an attic. And to keep the business alive, he had to ask his wife, honey, I need your wedding ring. I need to go sell it today. Reminds me of like real life experience here. I had a girl who broke up while I was starting to date, who ended it and told her best friend, and it was in a season of major business startup for me where our dates weren't the like most elaborate romantic dates. We'd be like, yeah, let's go grab a Starbucks, or like, or like, you go to a nice restaurant. You're like, you know what? I just had a huge protein shake, and but you get whatever you want, right? So like, but she told her friend like, yeah, I just, I really need somebody that's more financially secure, dude. That country song, How Do You Like Me Now? People have no idea the meaning of that for me. And how that's like so here, and there's other in other words, listen, we all love the glory story. But what we don't realize is probably the top 100 most successful people on earth have gone through the darkest, lowest, tightest financial times. I mean, really, they really have. So to survive those without devaluing, you just have to, like what Donald Trump teaches. He said, I know this sounds so cliche, just don't ever give up. Because look, I mean, he tells a story when he was so broke that he looked at a homeless man and he told his friend and he said, honestly, that homeless man right now at this very moment is wealthier than I am. That's how the man was going under, man. You hear me? I mean, he was straight up going under. The Donald Trump. And the story of how he bounced back and came back should tell every young entrepreneur and businessman, don't give up. Even when you're at your lowest, don't give up. Anyways, my man Mike disappeared and I wanted to know what he had to say about this. So that's funny right there, Tommy. That's true. Hey, now does anybody have any follow-up questions to what Mike? There you are. What was your thoughts on what I just said? I kind of went off for a minute, man. I wanted to hear your take on it.
It's completely. I'm thinking about actually you going on a date to Starbucks and then going to a restaurant. I can't get that picture out of my head. Have you ever given the card to the waiter and then you see him coming back and you actually go intercept him just in case there was a problem?
You say, I got to use the restroom. Hold on one second.
Yeah, and then you're like, hey, was everything okay? Can I sign this now?
And then that moment, he's like, oh, yeah, it cleared. And then you're like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that's real life, man. Hey, what'd you say?
Put the card in the gas pump and you go, approved. Yes! Put some gas in. It's like winning the lottery.
Or no, you go to the gas clerk. You go to the glass clerk and you hand him a handful of change that comes up to like $3.75, and you go, I need $3.75 and pump one, please. And he just kind of looks at you funny. And you're like,
yeah.
Hey, that'll at least get me a couple of blocks, baby.
Yeah. Hey, Lance is asking, how do you balance appearing desperate versus being persistent in follow-up on a potential sale? So persistency versus desperation. Great question.
Woo, that's tough. Man, that's a fine, because when you are desperate, the key is not to come across desperate. When they say hold your cards close, you got to be willing to lose the sale. In the quest to avoid looking desperate, you've got to stay firm on be willing to budge a little on price. I mean, if we're off by, depends on what it is you're selling. But anyways,
margins, yeah.
It's all in. When your persistence is genuine, and you're saying when you're coming across like truly, hey, the reason why I'm so persistent is because I know this will save your life.
Right. I'm
not trying to I know that I know. And they said, well, you're just trying to make a sale. Well, of course. I believe in the law of fair exchange. But I believe in the law of greater exchange in that you're going to give me money, but I'm actually going to give you greater than what you paid. So in other words, you just kind of like the art of being real with people, even when they question. And then again, Lance, I've come across desperate before. I really have. In my sales, I needed the cash so bad that I feel like I gave off those vibes. And you just have to just grind your way through it and get to a place where you accept, okay, you know what? If this sale doesn't happen, I'm not going to panic, and kind of give yourself some self-talk that, hey, it's going to be okay. You know what? If they say no, I'm going to get another sale. And then just kind of settling yourself down will help you not come across desperate, in my opinion. Mike, what about you?
Well, I think motive counts, and what your core motive is always sort of comes through in your voice inflection, body language, all those sort of things. And so if your motive, if you really believe in your product and you really believe that it will help the person, then that, will naturally lead you to a persistency rather than a desperation. Even if you are desperate for cash, if your motive isn't to get cash from that person, but it's to help them, I think that, that mentality, that mindset will go a long ways.
And I'm going to say one more thing, because I know we got to go in a few minutes. Mm-hmm. You're gonna lose your pride in starting a business. You just are. Keep self-respect, But actually losing your pride is not a bad thing. I'm just telling you right now, true entrepreneurship, your pride is just, it's gone out the window because you will do things. And again, I'm not saying all desperation is bad either. Sometimes desperation is a gift. Sometimes it takes desperation to break through and to survive.
Yeah.
So if you got to come across desperate to survive, Mike, you're going to have to be willing to lose social status when you start a business and you become an entrepreneur. Because you really are. People aren't going to understand you. They're not going to get you. Family and friends aren't going to understand you.
Yeah.
It's just, there's so much to real entrepreneurship, Mike. Real entrepreneurship. People that, not just people that like go buy business cards and, post a group page on Facebook or whatever, a company page. I'm talking about like real, like, okay, we're gonna build this business here and make it work. The path of that is intense, man. Anyways.
Yeah. People that you respect and care about will tell you you're crazy and say, well, why don't you just get a real job? This is as real as it gets.
How many times, Mike? Let's just guess. How many times in the last 2 years have people said you should get a real job?
How many days are there? Hundreds.
Literally hundreds.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that song. I play music. I play music and motivational videos. One of the songs I listen to is I'm Gonna Be Somebody Someday. Because, I love that song. It's like, and I do listen to How Do You Like Me Now? I love the video of it, And I know at the end of the day, true humility is you don't have to get revenge. You don't. And I really in my heart don't feel that way. I really don't. I joke about it. I'm secure in my own skin. I feel bad for that girl that had a shot at this and walked away because she had a perceived whatever that, I couldn't bring the mail or whatever you call it. But, hey, I'm not out to I don't care if she ever sees a picture of my baller house or whatever, or whatever. I don't care. I don't need to pull up in no fancy car and her see me getting out with some gorgeous model. I'm way past that. Really, you got to get past that, Mike. That's pride.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it does feel good. It does feel good.
Yeah. You wouldn't object. Just it's not on your goal list. I get that.
It happens. Look, if it happens, I'm okay with it. I'm just not angry anymore. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, hey, good show today, Mike.
Great show.
Can you sum it up for us?
No.
Can you sum it up, my friend? You're the sum it up guy.
Yeah, start with the why and then work through the details. Don't be afraid to do what you need to do. And being an entrepreneur can sometimes be difficult. I don't know. We talked about some other stuff. It was great. Branding. It was we did a bit about branding there. So focus and be consistent. And remember, word of mouth, those will help you build successful brands. There you go.
Can you share real quick before we leave one embarrassing moment you had in business?
What?
Finance? Embarrassing.
Just one? It's
one that turned you 80 shades of red and left you utterly humiliated.
I can't really think of one off the top of my head because it's just I don't know. I think I've been desensitized to it. I can't tell you how many times that. Actually, you know what? Do you remember when we were somewhere in Virginia and we were checking into a hotel and I had 5 different credit cards, debit cards, and all 5 of them were declined. And I'm like, here I am. I'm in Virginia. We flew in here, and I actually have a video. I said, you know what? And I was so embarrassed. I'm like, you know what? I took the desk clerk, and I said, could you do me a favor? She says, what? I said, can you just hold up all these credit cards and say, I'm sorry, Mr. Hopkins, all 5 of these credit cards have been declined. And she did it for me. It was hilarious. And I'm like, do you take food stamps or anything? So I have that video still. And I ended up, I mean,
Dude,
I had enough money if I scraped them together and transferred it. It took me a while, but I had enough to like cover so I could stay there. But
so you were like switching money from one card to another card to another card.
yeah,
Mike, I'm envisioning you, which you got to find humor, and that's another thing. You know how you survive? You can't like go commit suicide those moments. You got to find humor. Like the fact that you videoed her saying and asked her to say that, that's how you survive, man. You got to learn to laugh and you know, appreciate those moments, man. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
I'll share mine next Thursday, okay? Just to save time. To give me one more week of any bit of pride that I have left. Because my most embarrassing business moment is extremely embarrassing.
Hey, one quick thing I want to just leave with people, and you mentioned pride, and here's one of the things that the initial thing that I thought when you said what's embarrassing. This isn't really embarrassing, but it surprised me. As much as we believe in the My Health 90 product, as much as we love it, and as much as it's helping people and all that, when you take a wide enough like swath of customers, there are some customers that you just will not be able to make them happy, and they would just like will not like what you're offering. And so like the first time we got somebody cancel on us, I'm like, what? They're canceling? How can they be canceling? And I'm like freaking out. And of course our cancellation rate is ridiculously low, but you know,
very low.
Life happens. There's people hit financial things. I mean, people get sick. There's just all kinds of things happen, and you have to just like be able to get over that and understand that not 100% of the people are going to be like your biggest fan. It's hard. It's a shot to the pride. But
that's actually a good point. You're right. We've got to be people in business that got to be willing. You're going to have people that are going to just not be raving fans, as they call it. But Mike, I remember the day when you texted me about somebody canceling. My text back to you was like, what? Like 15 question marks. Like, are you kidding?
Like, who
would cancel this? You know the amount of personal touch that we're giving and exceeding expectations, and the list goes on. And I'm like, we're saving their life. Like, they couldn't get this anywhere else at this price point. I mean, we went off on each other. But you're right.
Yeah.
You know, we were like...
And then we smiled and said, I'm so sorry that it didn't work out for you. Let us know if there's anything we can do.
And then we blocked them off social media. Unfriended them.
Not true. Not true.
We're just joking. Hey, we love you guys, man. Great show, great week. Mike and I are done. And we'll be back next Tuesday for our talk show. What's this called? Fuel for Success. And if any of these shows are a help to you, please feel free to pass them along to other people. This is Mike Hopkins. I'm Matt Maddox. You can find us on social media. You can also hit up our website, myhealth90.com. Check out our business there. Definitely something that would bring tremendous value to you and your family. Also, you know, any of these previous shows, Mike, this is episode 270.
It is.
Wow. 270 episodes, all archived. You can watch any of them for free on iTunes or on our website. They're categorized. And, yeah, we're praying for you, Pacey. Good luck there dealing with the Canadians. Hey, we love you guys. We love the Canadians, Lance. We love all the Canadians. What would life be like without our Canadian friends, Mike?
No idea.
Hey, great show, Mike. Enjoyed hanging out with you. Enjoy your time with your son. Mike's getting to go to a men's conference with his son. Have a blast, dude. You and John live it up. Do something cool. Have a bad meal. Have one bad meal. All right, love you guys. Enjoy, and we'll see you all soon.
God bless you.
You don't have to come back, Mike?
That's all I got.
Nothing like leaving you hanging at closing. Nothing like leaving you hanging at closing, right?
Yeah. See y'all. Have a great Thursday. We'll see you on Tuesday. God bless.